Yum, yum!
Greg here from Pixel Fondue, and I've been doing a lot of testing with the new V-Ray plugin for MODO lately. In fact, this image right here is a product render of one of my old projects using V-Ray RT, the GPU rendering engine that comes with V-Ray, and I've actually been really happy with it. So I'm going to be doing some V-Ray videos in the future for Pixel Fondue, but this video today isn't specifically about V-Ray. In fact, I'll probably touch on V-Ray a little bit, but for the most part, I just want to do a short video on a cool masking technique that was used to create this image, where you're masking on item groups. So we all know that you can mask on polygon tags in the shader tree. So a group in the shader tree points to a particular material polygon tag, or even like a selection set tag or a part tag. Also, item masking, most people are familiar with, where a group in the shader tree that contains a material points to a specific mesh item and isolates it and gives it that material. But you can also use a mask pointing to an entire group of items. And that's what I use for this particular project. Because each one of these knobs can be any one of like 6 to 8 different colors, so green or yellow or purple. The color, I guess, determines the functionality or the mapping of the knob in the actual audio hardware. I don't really know, but I do know that the client kept changing the color of the knobs. And if you think about the mixing board, it had something like 32 of these panels. And they were all different types of panels, but they all had knobs and buttons that would change colors depending on how they were mapped. So I had to come up with some sort of clever masking situation in MODO, and so that's what I'm going to show. So let me pop on over to MODO. Okay, so here we are in MODO, and this is a very typical setup for a CAD file, right? So you get your CAD file from your client, and you bring it into MODO, and you'll notice that there's a lot of instances. So CAD files always make great use of instancing, and here all of these purple wireframe guys are instances, right? So I've got just one knob LED mesh right here, right? There it is right there. In fact, if you're not sure where it is in the shader tree or in the item list, just hover, press F, it'll find it, the selected item. So there's my mesh, but then I have 31 instances. I'm going to have a great time saying that word a million times in this video. Right there. So we've got 31 instances in one mesh. Well, that sort of rules out polygon tag masking for all these guys, right? I mean, I can convert, right click and say, convert all these guys, change type to mesh, and it'll convert all these instances to meshes. Then I can go in and select their polygons and assign a polygon tag like a LED blue, an LED green, an LED yellow. But that's pretty laborious. I don't want to do that. Plus, it's not very flexible because if I have to change one of those colors, I have to go in and change, select the polygons again and give it a new name. Also, all of these lights have one thing in common. They can all be off. So I do want to have one polygon tag on here, and it's going to propagate to all the instances. And that polygon tag, let me just press 4 and then hit the, I have my material selection cursor now, and click on it, and you'll see I've got a polygon tag on there called knob LED clear plastic, and a clear plastic material within that group. In fact, if you look at the info and statistics, and I know all you MODO experts are like, shut up, just get on with the video, but there are people who watch these that don't know this, right? So you click on this, and you can see all these polygons have that knob LED clear plastic material on it. So that's great. And you can see that's propagated to all the instances because there's no colors on any of these, right? They all have that clear plastic material. In fact, you probably can't see it because this is maybe a little too small, but rest assured, they all have that material. So how do I go about putting colored LED lights on all of these meshes? Well, I can do item masking. So if I select this item right here, I've got this particular knob, right? If I right click, as we all know, and go under create item mask, if I do that, let me just pop over the shader tree so we can see this happen. And again, I know many of you know how this works, but some people don't. So bear with me. I'll get through this quick, I promise. Create item mask. Okay, there's the item mask right there, and I can give this a LED, this particular item mask, I drop in like a green LED material in there. That's great, but I don't want to do that for 32 different guys, right? It is since the shader tree, of course, evaluates from the bottom up, it is going to override the clear plastic one below it. So it still has that polygon tag on it. It still exists in the shader tree, but this would override it. But again, I don't want to do that for all of them. So how can I do this quickly and easily and flexibly, because I know my client's going to change his mind in like 2 seconds. So I use groups. So right now I've got 4 empty groups here, a blue LED group, a magenta, yellow, and a green. In fact, I can create a new group, and we'll call it orange LED. In fact, I already have it in there because I'm magic. So you type in orange LED, okay, and there's nothing in there yet. I haven't added any items. If I had some items selected, it would have automatically put them in that group. I didn't have them in there. That's fine, because what I'm going to do is go down here to my shader tree, and you'll see I already have some things in here. So first of all, I have a group that doesn't mask on anything. I'm just using that for organizational purpose called knob LEDs, and I give it a color by right-clicking and giving it a color. That just helps me navigate a fairly complex scene. And you'll see I've got my clear plastic one at the bottom, and on top of that, because they're able to overwrite that one, I've got a green LED, and it's masking on the green LED group. So it's just an item mask, but when you generally think of items in MODO, you think of a mesh item, but a group is also an item. So that works with item masking. So if I go over here and I select my item, I don't have to pick one of these buttons or knobs. I just pick, see that has little white brackets around them. I pick one of my groups. So I got a green LED group, and inside that, I've got a green LED preset. In fact, that preset comes from my library down here. So I think I have knob, green LED, there it is. So this is the actual material that's been instanced up there via the library function in MODO into my green LED mask. Now I use the library because, again, this sort of audio equipment, this is a large project with many different pieces. They all used similar materials. So I created a material library for the entire product first and all the components, and then just imported those into the library. And once they're in the library, you can just drag them up into your masks here. So I've got one for yellow. This guy is masking on the yellow mask, and the magenta one's masking on the magenta mask, and it's got a guy from the library there. I got a blue one. And so, you know, if you want to make a new one, I've got my orange one here I just made, so I could select my knob LED sort of master group. That's just there for organizational purposes. I'm going to add a group from the layer here. One of the things in MODO, I'm just going to drag this above blue just because I'm kind of like that. One of the things about MODO is, you know, they use the same nomenclature, the same name often. So we got groups here, we got groups here. Well, these are groups in the shader tree. These are what I like to call item groups or item channel groups, IC groups. And you can put items and channels over there. But they're both called groups, which can sometimes be confusing. I feel like I'm saying group a lot in this video. Anyway, I'm going to select this orange LED group here as my items. So I'm going to be masking on that. So any items that are in that group will pick up whatever's in here. There's nothing in there now, so let me check my library. Do I have a yellow orange LED? Yes, I do. I have one right here, so I'm going to drag that up from my library and pop it in. And now I'm about ready to get into business. So let's do this slowly at first, and then we'll speed up. So there's my guy right here, and I'm going to just drag it over here into, let's make him blue. So I'm just going to drag him over here to the blue LED group, and there he is. And if I unpause this and take a look at this guy right here, probably should have done a render region, but you'll see that there it is, it's blue. So anything in this mask, anything in this group is going to be shaded with this material in this group that's pointing to this group. See, I told you to use the word group a lot, but you know, we see how this is working. So you can kind of, the wheels are clicking now, right? So this blue LED mask, group mask, is pointing to the blue LED group over here. So any item within that group is going to pick up this blue LED material. Okay, so with that technique in mind, I'm sure you can deduce how we're going to go about this. So any LED meshes that you want to be a certain color, you just drag them to that group. So if I want this whole row blue, and just grab the rest of those guys and drag them over. Whoops, not that guy. These guys. Be careful when you drag. Drag them over to the blue group, and they're all going to be blue. In fact, I think I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to select everybody. I'm going to go to a top view, and as you know, sometimes the fastest way to select things is to deselect things. So all my LEDs are selected, and I'm going to control middle mouse to deselect the ones I don't want, you guys. And then I'm going to drag these ones that are still selected into the magenta group because that's such a pretty color. And then I'm going to use that little technique again by selecting all of these guys here and then making this last edge group here. We'll make that blue again. Why not? Blue's nice too. And do this little technique again. This has to be faster than doing one at a time, right? Probably don't have to do all of these, but I will. So let's make these orange, It's looking kind of lonely. Then what do I need? Green and yellow left. So I need a yellow. So I think maybe these guys need to be yellow, if I'm not mistaken. And then we need some greens. So there's some yellows. And what am I missing? The first group over there, the first row, and one other row. And we will make all those green. So the first row is going to be green. Control middle mouse to deselect. Let's see, the one after both of these. Yeah, it's this one right here, I believe. These guys right here. Yep, we'll make all these green. And you'll notice that I am dragging this blue mesh in here, the master knob. The master of the knob instances is, or the mother of all knob instances is, right? So also you'll notice that preview did not update correctly. So either I did something wrong or preview is being a little biatch, which I'm guessing preview is being a bitch. So I usually just click something off in the shader tree and click it back on to see if that'll fix it. And voila, that did fix it. So everything is a color now. You will notice one thing. The green LED group is on the bottom. It's the lowest on the totem pole. So yellow, magenta, blue, orange are all above it. That's on purpose for a couple reasons. So let's say this blue guy right here, our original blue guy, I think it was number 2. That guy right here, this blue guy. If we wanted to make that guy, and blue is right here, if I wanted to make him magenta, I could add him to the magenta group, right? So now I'm thinking, okay, that's going to turn magenta. But it does not, in fact, turn magenta. Why is that? Because it's still in the blue group. So an item can be in more than one group. Right now I have this in the magenta group and the blue group. So it's technically getting both of those colors. It's just that blue is on top of magenta in the shader tree. So it's evaluating up. It's like it sees the polygons, and then it's a instance of this polygon mesh over here, and it sees that those polygons have a clear plastic tag, so it gets those materials, and it keeps going up, and it bumps into magenta, and it sees that it's a part of this group over here, and so it gets the magenta materials. Then it goes up and it sees, oh, blue, I'm also part of the blue group, and then it gets the blue materials. That's what you ultimately see, because it never bumps into anything again. So you have to keep that in mind, and that's also useful with the knob LEDs. So there's something right here. If you'll look at the green mask and go over to properties, you'll see something called apply to item instances. This appears to be a bug. So if I check this off, then I should not get that green color, because this is in the green mask, on any instance. But I do, in fact. So if I were to, say, pull this green up on top of everything, everything's going to turn green because I have the mother knob of all these instances in the green group. And this little checkbox here, even though it's off, it doesn't seem to work. So I think that's a bug. But that's easily solved by just making sure that the mother of all instances is in the bottom of the totem pole there. And so anything on top of that, anything on top of it will get the proper color. So that's one thing to keep in mind. And also the, an item being in more than one group is another thing to keep in mind. But this is a nice way to do it because eventually you got this, you make it pretty or prettier than this at least, and you send it off to your client. Your client gets something like this and says, Greg, that's great. You are the most awesome human being I've ever met, and I love you. But this top right guy here has to be green, you idiot. And so then I go, I'm sorry, I know I'm an idiot, Mr. Client. I'm back here in MODO, and I select that top right guy right there. And I find him over here in the orange group, and I know he needs to be green. But if I just drag it up to the green group, it still exists in the orange group, and orange is on top of green, so it's not going to get that green color. So I just need to make sure while I put it in the green group, I also need to remove this guy from the orange group. So I can right-click on it and say remove item from group, which I think just comes off your screen, but put your trust in me. There is a little thing there in the menu that says that remove item from group, and so I remove that, and now this son of a bitch should be green. Green. Green, I tell you. Come on, MODO. You can do this. I'm going to V-Ray if you don't do this. Okay, I did it. So now it's green, right? And so yeah, I did talk about V-Ray a little bit, and so I'm going to pop over here to the V-Ray panel. And there's the previous V-Ray render, but let's take a look at this started up again. So hit V-Ray RT. RT is going to get going. The V-Ray RT is now going, rendering away at this at the full 1920 by 1080 resolution. There is a Titan in this machine, an original Titan, and also a Tesla card. So it's pretty quick. In fact, in about a minute or so, it'll probably about a minute for this at 1920 by 1080, and it'll be done. So, and you'll see these are all just standard MODO materials here in V-Ray. There are, of course, V-Ray specific materials, but it does a nice job of just converting the standard MODO materials into V-Ray materials. So the roughnesses and the reflections and the colors and luminosity, and it obeys all the masking in the shader tree. So it obeys item masking and polygon tag masking and item group masking. They really did a pretty remarkable job on it. And it's a really great render engine. So that is it. I said it was going to be short. I think I lied. Sorry. I'm no William Vaughn.
Yum, yum!